Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Jay Malik. Jay is kind enough to be the sponsor for our group for accounting services, and he has a firm called Less Tax for Dentists. Everybody loves that name. Jay, tell me a little about yourself. How long have you been doing this?
I spent my whole life working in small business and accounting, and the practice in this shape, which it is now, this has been about 20 years.
I always tell people you need an accountant that's familiar with the dental business. If someone has already gone through 5, 10, 20, 100 offices and they've set it up, they know what to look for. It helps them save taxes and also save time as far as you spending time on it, correct?
Yes, it's a debate in dentistry whether you need a dental specific accountant or not, right? In the end, it comes down to if you are working with somebody who understands and is focused on doing things, in my case, I start from legally lowering the tax burden. We'll first create a tax strategy and then we'll help you implement it for you. As opposed to if you go to somebody and they are working with one plumber, two electricians, three laundry shops, and maybe one or two dentists, they don't know all the aspects of dentistry. There are a number of us in the country, in the US, who specialize in working with US based dental practices. And this is what we do, this is how we make a living. So there is a difference of specialty does make a difference.
What I liked about it when we first talked in our first interview, that you guys are comprehensive. I was talking to someone that just bought a practice and they didn't know where to spend the money. And I told them every penny that you spent on a good accountant that sets you up properly comes back to you three times in the long run. What services do you offer for dentists?
In our case, we are a full service accounting firm. So we do everything. We start from bookkeeping, payroll processing, tax return preparation, do everything. The key difference is that we start by looking at your situation and developing a tax strategy individualized after talking to you, after understanding what you want, how do you want to proceed, and then we implement that strategy. So that is the difference between me and most of the people who basically will provide the same services, but they are not focused on that. In my practice, any dentist who wants, they can send me their tax return and I analyze it for them for free. I hold two meetings with them, and in first meeting I ask them questions, understand the story behind the numbers, and the second one I deliver, point out to them what they could have done differently to save some money on tax and maybe run their practice differently. Okay. I actually had an earlier meeting before you with another doctor. She had sent me her tax. She was on my second meeting today, and I was explaining to her. And it turns out that this was her second year of running the practice, third year. She bought it in 2022. So 2022 tax return was there, and 2023 was filed. 22 was filed by one accountant. 2023 was filed with another accountant. So she had a feeling things were not as going as well as they could be done. So I said yes. So what we found out, I was explaining to her, was that her problem didn't start when she after she bought the practice. Her problem actually started with accounting when she signed the contract to buy the practice. The challenge was that the other side, the sellers, they had a good accountant looking at the contract and they assigned a bigger portion of the purchase price to goodwill.
Yep. And goodwill cannot be depreciated as fast, right?
Yes, it has to be amortized over 15-year period. If you had spoken to a good accountant before you bought it and worked with them to analyze it, and you could have negotiated a better deal right there.
Jay, I'm going to pretend I'm a dentist coming to you, and I'm a newer dentist. I've just bought a practice. I have expenses, but I also want to set up for the future. Do you help them with financial advice as far as what to do, where to go? Not necessarily offer investment vehicles, but set them up that, hey, you need to do this much to benefit better or to grow your money faster.
So, you see, You and I both, we did not go to college, didn't start our own practices to just work and pay taxes, and then that was not the goal. The goal was to have a good life. The idea was this career will provide us financial resources to live the kind of life we want to live. We plan the same way for the dentist to come to me, work with me. So we sit down and talk to both spouses on the dentist side, and I sit on this side. It takes a few hours, hour-long meetings each time to find out what they want financially in life. I have specific questions which I ask and which I get answers from the doctor and the spouse. Then we create a written plan. Somebody says, I don't want to live luxuriously now, but I want to stop working at 45, 48, 50. So there's a different plan to get there. So then there are other doctors who say, I have worked hard to get here to start my practice, and I haven't lived a good life. So now that I have some money coming in, I want to live a good life. But of course, they will not be able to retire at 45 if they do that, right? And they are okay with that. They don't no problem working. So for them, there's a different plan. Okay. So we create this plan, which is a written document. Now, it's not a fixed thing, by the way. It needs to be amended as the time progresses because their views change. So now they have a baseline what to work against. So then every quarter when we meet, we look at that if they're getting closer to their plan, or no, we have the baseline, we know what the plan is, if they're getting closer, if they're not getting closer. So that is part of the process, yes.
So what I asked you last time, this is all inclusive, right? In other words, you charge a fee and that's it. They can call you and say, Jay, I want to buy a car. What is the best way of buying this car? Should I lease? Should I buy? Are these the things that you help people?
Yeah, the clients who are paying clients who work with me, they get a link to my calendar. They just click on it, and whatever time suits them, they can reserve it anytime they want. It's all included. They don't pay anything extra for that. My busiest days are Fridays, which are hard to get on because dentists are off that day. They want to talk to me, right? So to make a long story short, they can talk to me. By the way, all doctors get my personal cell phone. Most of the time, by the end of the day, I'm able to respond to all the texts and all that stuff. Say, I mean, if you are negotiating, say somebody is negotiating with a DSO to sell the practice, they're not going to wait 2 weeks. It needs to be done right away. So access is not a problem.
And this is a one flat fee they pay, and you take care of their payroll, you take care of their accounting, and also filing of the taxes and everything.
Yes, so it's like a package. Some doctors want us to, they don't want to deal with anything. They want us to pay their bills as well. So all the bills come to us and we pay them here, right? So they, of course, pay more than other doctors who pay their own bills, but we do everything else for them.
Mm-hmm.
So then there are others, there's a third package category in which there are people who want like real personalized, extraordinary help to grow. So there's a different package for that.
Consulting, basically, to see what to do and what not to do.
Which is like additional than what we are talking about. This is under the normal included in that, but that's additional than that. They want help with hiring and or how to set up the office procedures and all that. Everything to do with bookkeeping, payroll, taxes, accounting, all this is included in the lowest level package.
The base package. Yeah, that's a good thing. If you wanted to tell me one mistake that dentists make the most in their businesses, what would that be?
They don't get a second opinion on their tax returns. That is the biggest mistake. Some doctors spends decades in practice with the same accountant, but they don't get somebody else who understands these things. Hey, look at my tax and see if I can do anything legally to lower my tax burden. Because I'll tell you an interesting statistic. 95% of the tax returns which dentists send me, the doctor is paying more tax than what he should be paying because of something they are not doing. And I see a lot of tax returns because people send it to me for second opinion. And it's free, so there's no problem.
And you're offering this service for free. They can send you their
Yeah, this
tax
is for free.
return.
This is of a small fraction of the people who do take avail of this free service. Some of them like it, they end up becoming my client. So they start paying me. And for me, it is a good way to market my practice. And the other thing which is important, is that most doctors have this view for some reason that the bookkeeping is a low skills thing. Anybody can do it. So what happens is either the doctor himself is doing it at some time, his spouse is doing it, or the office manager is doing it. That is a mistake because bookkeeping is where it starts. If you don't do the bookkeeping, it's hard to get the good data to use it in your practice management decision, and it's hard to implement good tax strategies. So that's another area which needs to be done right, and it has to be done concurrently during the year, month after month. If you have 6 months of bookkeeping accumulated and you do it in one go at the end of the year, then basically you wasted all that time. You don't have real time access to your numbers. Interestingly, some doctors think I look at my practice management software, Dentrix or whatever they use, and I can know what I'm collecting. And then I look at my bank account, I see the balance in there. So I have a good idea how the practice is doing. I can assure you that does not work. You look at actual numbers which are reconciled, you cannot look at all the KPIs for your practice. And you have to compare your KPIs with the industry standards to know how well you are doing or not doing.
You provide financial analysis monthly and reports for them, right? Hopefully, when you're trying to retire, those are important financial analysis you need.
Retirement is an interesting concept. I remember there was a time when if you got a dental degree and came out of dental school and hung out your shingle somewhere, regardless of if you graduated at the bottom of your class or regardless of how not well managed your practice was while you were practicing, if you went through this process, by about mid 50s, you were able to have a few $1 million, couple of $1 million, and with that money, you could retire and have a good life. Dentistry has changed now. It is much more competitive. You need to be intentional and work if you want to have a good retirement. I go to these different events and talk, and I cannot tell you the number of times I run into guys who are in their late 60s, some in early 70s, and they cannot retire. And they have decent sized practices, but they just didn't manage the numbers right. Actually, ADA has said it in some of its studies that more dentists are finding it harder to retire in a timely fashion.
Getting a good accountant is very important. And I wanted to just remind everybody that this is why Jay is here to help us run our practices better and more efficiently. They do everything for you with one set fee. And I will put your contact information in the caption of this video. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, you will take care of them as a comprehensive accounting services. I wanted to thank you for being here today. Hopefully we can do this more often. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.